the other networks, newspapers, they have zero interest in ever vetting the soon-to-be Democratic nominee. In fact, they really prefer that America forget Kamala's radical record. The most radical person by far to ever seek the presidency. So, as per usual, we will...
Wait a minute. How in the world can Kamala Harris be... That almost got by me. It's kind of late here, and I wasn't paying attention. He just said Kamala Harris is the most radical person to ever seek the office of presidency. But we had presidents who owned slaves. See, that kind of stuff right there. I am not a supporter of Kamala Harris. I'm not going to sit here and let people pull the racist stuff. And it puts you in a hard place, because when you aren't a supporter of Kamala, they automatically assume that you're supporting Donald Trump and Fox News and all that. But that's not the case at all. I'm not supporting Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party because they don't support us. And the stuff that he says is just pure racist in a lot of areas. Some of it ain't even true. And then he does say some things from time to time that is true. And that challenges me to do a little investigation and see what he's talking about, or if he's just making up some more stuff. And Kamala Harris is no saint. She's innocent, and she is for some things that we are not for. Let's carry on.
Do the media mob, state-run media's job, and actually vet Kamala Harris. We have a lot of new information to share with you tonight, and to be honest, this is kind of a layup. I'd like to tell you it's hard. You're just going to do the research and play her in her own words. It's not that difficult. Kamala's on tape giving her position on almost every single issue you can possibly think of. She's on tape. We played it for you, calling for an end to private health insurance. She's on tape calling for a single-payer socialist health care system. She's on tape calling for the federal government to...
So he's just rattling all this stuff off. And a lot of this stuff I have concerns with, because there are some black issues that need to be put in front of some of this stuff and put on here at all. He ain't mentioned any of that kind of stuff. But what he's trying to do is turn us against Kamala Harris by kind of bringing in the immigrants thing and her record as a tougher district attorney. That'll come up as well. But that ain't the kind of stuff that bothers me too much about her. What bothers me about Kamala is the pretending to be black. Pretending to be black when you're not really black, and reaping some benefits from it. Being looked at as a black woman in a vice presidential role, and now as a candidate for president, but you're not really doing anything for black people, which makes us look like a big old support group for you, and you're not doing anything for us. Your donors are making sure of that. The Democratic Party is making sure of that, because once again, the Democrats and the Republicans both have anti-black agendas and anti-black policies, and they always have. And the only thing that's changed from the time we were released from slavery up to this point is that they tolerate a little bit more, but they still hold the reins when it comes to what we can and what we cannot do overall, where we live and where we cannot live. And there will always be individual black people that will prosper and flourish in this, but for the majority, it's not going to happen. It isn't made to happen. So let's go on with Sean Hannity and his racist ways. He just kind of really goes in on her hard, and I kind of like it because I don't like her. But then some of the stuff he says, I kind of get offended by, because she's pretending to be black, and he's coming at her from a racist way, directing his little racist trope and all that stuff toward us. But the real truth is, he knows she's not going to be a strong candidate for Trump. They're just going to try to slap her around. Whenever they talk about not being very intelligent, I get offended, because I know that that's a racist trope that they say about black people in general. We're not too intelligent, so, and those kind of things. I get offended by it. I don't like Sean Hannity. It's kind of weird, my face being that damn close to his. But it is what it is. I do appreciate news from any source. I do listen to news from any source, but Kamala Harris, she got too many people going against her, and she needs to, if she's going to pretend to be black, if she's going to pretend to be celebrating Kwanzaa back when most black people, ancestors of slaves, weren't celebrating Kwanzaa, then she needs to knock all that off and start being real about it, and just say, hey, I'm Kamala Harris. I went to a historically black college. I graduated. I grew up around a lot of black people, and I understand the culture, and I love it, and I like the people over. But just say that kind of stuff. Be honest. Don't be trying to pretend that you're really, really black and that your family was so heavily steeped in the civil rights. I'm starting to wonder about that on some levels. I mean, what were they doing in the civil rights so heavily? And she's from India, and he's half Indian. I don't know. Let's go forward.
Confiscate your firearms through a mandatory gun buyback program. She's on tape support.
And that's another one. I don't know why white people are so mad about guns being threatened to be taken away. It's not going to affect them. Most of them are law-abiding. Most of them don't have any kind of criminal record, and they can just pile a bunch of guns up in their house like they're doing already. Most of us who work with a bunch of younger, middle-aged, or older white men, they like guns. They buy them in abundance. They go to gun shows. They buy as many guns as they can have, and they put them in their house because they may think one day that we may wake up and be so mad at them from what they did to us during slavery that we're going to just go out in the street and start killing white people. But that's what they act like. And the gun laws, all the gun laws in the world that they can make and have made aren't stopping anything. We still have people who do not or should not have guns, having guns and trying to kill people. Donald Trump, attempted assassination, Ronald Reagan, Martin Luther King, JFK. I mean, it just makes no sense to look at our violent history and think that, gosh, we haven't figured it out. We just keep getting more violent and more violent, and Kamala Harris is now looked at as a person trying to take your guns away. No one really knows her platform. I guess her platform is whatever Joe Biden left behind, because she appears to be taking it on. I don't think she really had a contrast on very many major topics from him. But I like Sean Hannity ranting and raving, and I'm going to skip some of this. I'm not going to torture you guys that bad, but I just want you to know that all these people who dislike Kamala, and myself being one of them, I just get the wrong impression from people when they say, hey, so what about Trump? And Trump won't do that. And they're totally right, but I've never voted for Trump. I don't have a whole lot of energy for him. I did vote for Kamala and Joe Biden, and I did held my nose and did it, and a lot of people said, oh, just hold your nose and vote for him. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I'm done holding my nose and voting for people. I'm not doing it anymore. I am not going to pretend that when she gets in office, she's going to do all this miracle. That she's not. She's not. She made it clear who she is, and I know who she is. And if any of you black people who are talking about supporting her just because she's black, do your research. If you feel okay about her record in California and her record in the Senate, they look at her as one of the most liberal. But this is a racist Senate. This is a racist Congress. This is a racist country. There's no way she's going to go in there and do well. She looks like us, and they treat her like us, but she plays ball with them. And as long as she does that, we're not going to get anything. But let's zoom through this a little faster and see what's going on with Miss Harris.
Supporting a 70 to 90% tax rate. She's on tape pushing for AOC's Green New Deal, introduced it in the Senate. Even if she has to get rid of the filibuster, she's on tape saying that too. She's on tape supporting the riots in the summer of 2020. She's on tape supporting defund, dismantle, no bail insanity. She's on tape comparing ICE to the KKK and calling for ICE to be abolished. She's on tape advocating for illegal immigration to be decriminalized. She's on tape calling for you taxpayers in this country, to cover the bill for illegal immigrants' health care, housing, and food. Take a look.
See, they sprinkle the truth in there, because those illegal immigrants aren't being allowed into the country and then just released to fend for themselves. They're setting up programs for them and resources. So, yeah, it's truth to that kind of stuff. But it shouldn't be the kind of stuff that should make you vote or not vote for Kamala. What should make us as black people vote or not vote for her is what she's going to do for us. I've gotten over the fact that they're going to do for all these new immigrants that come into the country, but we are the oldest and the first immigrant that they brought into this country. They forced over here, and we deserve something for it, so we can get up on our feet and quit standing in line with all these poor people who are just arriving. And Sean Hannity's goal is to just piss off as many people as he can, and if he can get black people mad at her in a group, then her numbers start to go in the other direction, because the more black people tend to learn about her, the less they like her. It's just a fact. So she needs to start coming out and doing things that are going to turn things around and let us know what she's willing to do for us, so we're not so angry at her, and so everybody's not walking away from her. So they will say, hey, you guys, people can start to talk about what she has planned for us, what she's going to do for us. But she has no plan at all, and she knows it. So she can't really address people unless she has a made-up speech, or she's there for another topic, and she can field questions. She's pretty good at that stuff too, fielding questions, and somebody asks her a question about black people, and then next thing you know, she turns it into a poor people answer. Well, for all the poor people who make less than, that kind of stuff. Tired of it. Answer the questions back directly. When they got you in a debate and they ask you those questions, answer the question. Don't make up your own answer. I'm going to pass through some of this, and we're going to get toward the end, guys. There is a part, and I believe it's coming up here.
For your failed policies that you still support. Her purported killer, a 26-year-old illegal immigrant from Venezuela, came in because of Joe and Kamala's open borders. Elizabeth Medina, 16-year-old high school cheerleader, stalked and murdered by a purported illegal immigrant from Mexico. A cop in Texas shot 3 times this weekend by another Biden-Kamala Harris unvetted illegal immigrant. And sadly, we can go on and on and on. Take a look at your screen. These are the names of all the people that have been raped and murdered, and all the victims of crime, thanks to Joe and Kamala's wide open borders. None of these murders, none of these rapes, none of these crimes should ever have happened. All of these...
And he's right. But would Joe Biden or Kamala Harris take responsibility for the large influx of illegals into the country? Probably not. And it's not offensive, and it should not be offensive to call someone who is in a country illegally an illegal. That's exactly what they are. They're violating the immigration policies of that country. And we're trying to change the immigration as a Democratic Party. We're trying to change the immigration policies to accommodate illegal immigrants, which makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. And that's the side that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, which means that they are willing to do something specifically to help illegal immigrants come into the country, as opposed to putting pressure on Mexico to take care of their people. And take a group like the African American blacks in this country and tell them, no, we can't do anything for you because we can't afford it. It was so long ago where everybody forgot, everybody's dead. It's a million different reasons. And the real reason is you just don't know where to begin. And that's where we need to get down and negotiate with you guys and help you and let you know that it is not insurmountable. It's doable. It's reasonable. And Kamala Harris, if she went through most of her adult years pretending to be a black African American, then she needs to start paying us back and letting us know how much she loves being called and looked at as a black lady, and give back some of that wonderfulness that had put her in a position of power, in a position to make decisions, and show us, hey, you know what? I didn't just go to your university and get all these sorority sisters and all these friends. I also have love for you guys, genuine love, and I'm going to get up here and argue on your behalf, and when they shut me down, I'm going to just come back and tell you the truth, so you won't vote for a party that is against you out of ignorance, because the people that we send to represent us are lying to us. That's a fact. I don't like her though, but I don't like him either. I don't know. If I had to flip a coin, or they's both hanging off a mountain and I had each one of them, I'd probably let go of both of them and go wash my hands. I don't think I'd hold either one of them. They'd both be falling down the side of that mountain.
Innocent fellow citizens should be alive right now, and all these other victims should never have had to endure what they have been through. Kamala Harris, are you ever going to say their names? Are you ever going to call their families? Will you ever apologize for your dereliction of duty at the border? Or is Biden's border czar just going to pretend that she had nothing to do with the border crisis, all while her supporters like Elizabeth Warren go on TV, brag about mass amnesty for all of their unvetted illegal?
Well, Mr. Hannity, the reason she never went down to the border is because they never had a plan for stopping anything. They had the border completely under control as far as what they wanted to do and what their agenda entailed. So don't be upset because she wasn't living down at the border or sleeping in a cot down there. She was doing at the border exactly what she wanted to. The border didn't do anything she didn't want it to do. And you know it, and I know it, and she know it. So let's get by that. And let's see what else bad, terrible things you can uncover for the rest of us who dislike her, but we dislike you too.
Illegal immigrants. Take a look.
But recognize, and I know that Kamala Harris knows this is a problem that ultimately has to be solved by Congress. We need the tools in order to have more resources at the border, to have more resources in the states and cities that are supporting migrants, and I believe we need to create a pathway to citizenship.
They're just so open and willing to just let these immigrants in and take care of them and make sure they flourish and they do okay. I mean, did you hear that? I remember that same Elizabeth Warren who was running for president in 2020, and reparations is not on the table. None of these folks who even seem like really, really good liberal, and they are running way left of the right wing. I mean, what chance do we have? We don't have a chance. You guys have to be crazy to be supporting people who don't support you openly. Oh, Elizabeth Warren, she's phenomenal. She ain't okay. I remember all of their positions, every last one of them. And the ones who were for reparations and supported the idea have no idea how they'd ever get in the White House. They were so far off. They're polling so low. It just wasn't going to happen for any of us. And when you get a guy like Pete Buttigieg, who's running in 2020 and polling higher than Kamala Harris, and now she's our candidate, we're in a lot of trouble, and we need to get a commitment out of her so that we can get involved and help her out and get her across the line. But she better pull us with her. That's all I'm saying. Because I don't think she's gonna. She got something up her sleeve. Keep on that one.
All of that is a part of what we need to do for comprehensive immigration reform. Kamala Harris will work with Congress and get that done.
We need more of your money to pay for illegal immigrants that didn't respect our laws, border sovereignty, to pay for their health care, their education, their housing, and every other need that they may have, and then give them free citizenship. You don't have to be a genius to understand the root cause of illegal immigration. You just have to watch that clip. Why? Because illegal immigrations are coming to this country en masse because Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and their fellow Democrats, they're now promising something of immense value. U.S. citizenship and health care and housing. And
for those of you who don't know, that's how the United States rolls. There was a time when all the United States had to offer to immigrants was land. So the white people in other white places could come here and get land grants, which means they were given land from the United States of America, and it's a fact. So the United States, he's pretty upset about it at this point, but some of his ancestors probably benefited from that. And that's what they were doing, giving away land grants to bring immigrants in and build a country. And right now they're trying to bring in the Hispanics to strengthen the Democratic Party and to help the corporations and companies run their businesses because they don't have enough people. The labor force is kind of struggling here. A lot of folks are looking for work, not qualified, don't want the type of work that's available. You know, a million reasons. But Sean Hannity's upset because who they're giving these benefits to. And I really don't care who they're giving them to. I know they're not giving them to us, Black Americans, descendants of slaves, and we should be mad.
Food and education, and you pay for it. And by the way, if Kamala Harris wins in November, it will only get worse. Kamala has no problem putting you and your families and other Americans' families at risk in support of this radical far-left political cause. Just look at the Minnesota Bail Fund, for example. Remember the tweet from 2020, the Summer of Love? Harris enthusiastically promoting this fund. This was right during the height of the 2020 riots that they lied about and said were mostly peaceful, like they said that inflation was transitory, like they said the border was closed and secure for 3 years. Well, those 2020 riots, only 4 days after that Minneapolis police precinct was burned to the ground. 4 days she sent out that tweet. And for the record, here's the former executive director of the Bail Fund explaining how the program works. Take a look.
I often don't even look at a charge specifics when I bail someone out. I'll see it after I pay the bail because it's not the point. It's just that it is not the point. The point is the system that we're fighting.
If you're a rapist charged with murder, that's not the point. We got to get you out of jail, and you become a threat to the rest of society. Because of the support from Kamala Harris, other Democrats, that bail fund, they went from about $250,000 a year to over $40+ million bailing out incredibly dangerous people and letting them free among the American people. That includes...
Sean Hannity is not the one you want to be hearing any position of his on the prison population. So I'm gonna speed past this part because it's a lot. He need to kind of kick back on that one. He has no position worth us hearing. We're gonna pass that. Look at this. Look at this.
Republican convention, he called me a radical, so I guess that's one difference between us. And yeah, I am a radical.
Yeah. She just, depending on what year, what is this, 2010, September, when she did this, you catch her 4 years later, she might not be, and then she is again. They're talking about she's left as far as the Congress goes, the Senate. I don't know. Well, the Senate, yeah, because the Senate is straight racist. That's just all it is, too. There's nobody in this country can tell me that our Congress and especially the Senate isn't racist. The other party is, too, but it just has a lot of minorities in it, and it makes it, you look at it a certain way. But in order for them to participate, they have to play ball, and if they don't, they'll be up out of there. The racist United States government is alive and well, and until we can negotiate with them on our own footing and without them telling us what they'll accept or what they want, or if we're going in a direction they don't like, they kill the leader that's taking us in that direction. That stuff got to come to an end so that we can live our own lives and plot our own future and chart our own course. That's what it's supposed to be anyway. But who am I?
We believe that we need to get radical about what we are doing and take it seriously.
This giggling thing has gone on a long time. Need more evidence of Kamala's radical views? Get this. Kamala has repeatedly praised her own pastor, who blamed America for 9/11/01. Gee, does that sound familiar? And here's...
They give you a whole new religion. And then when you worship one of the pastors from that religion, you're the bad person. You're supposed to know better than that. You should not follow pastors who they don't like, I guess. I wonder who his pastor is. You go sit and listen to him one Sunday. It's ridiculous.
She is talking about climate anxiety in young people. Take a look.
Young people said we're not leaving it to other people to decide how we're dealing with the climate crisis. I've heard young...
I wish the young people would forget about the climate crisis and worry about the government crisis, because we got horrible people representing us. And if young people got involved and maybe got some of those old people voted out, then maybe they could take over the climate crisis. But they're going to have to take over the government and incorporate themselves into it and get active, or it just ain't going to happen for them, because these old people don't want to step down ever. They're helping each other up and down stairs and voting for each other and Where's Mitch McConnell? I think he's retiring in November. Where is he though? They just let him stay at home and chill. I mean, what is going on with this government? And you young people, get it together, get involved, and make a change. And quit listening to people like Kamala Harris, who's just going to carry on what the old people are doing longer and longer, and they're not even going to be here to see what happens. And so their policies shouldn't mean nothing to us, especially you younger folks.
Leaders talk with me about a term they've coined called climate anxiety.
See, she just be making up shit. That ain't no real word. Climate anxiety? Who got that? I got being black anxiety. There's nothing about the climate that scares me more than about waking up and not knowing what your race as a whole is going to be looking like in 10 years. And that's where we are right now. Climate anxiety. Come on, she need to knock that off.
Right? Which is fear of the future and the unknown, of whether it makes sense for you to even think about having children, whether it makes sense for you to think about aspiring to buy a home, because what will this...
It just make me think about not voting for you when you talk crazy like that. It makes no sense. She shouldn't have to talk to us like that to get our support. She's carrying herself or passing herself off as a black woman. She needs to start acting like one and letting us know the real. Oh, I ain't really black. I know I ain't really black. You know I ain't really black. And no, we didn't celebrate Kwanzaa, but I do tell you this. I'm fighting for you guys, and I'm negotiating with you guys for something. And then this is why we're not getting it. Instead of playing ball with them and holding it against us and away from us. Just disgusting.
Climate be?
So my question tonight is, anybody in the state-run media mob, are they ever going to ask Harris about her extreme views? I would predict the answer is no. 98 days is election day. Early voting starts in about 48 days. Will she ever be held accountable? Don't hold your breath. We will hold her accountable, and hopefully you will share this information that the media will not give you with your friends and your family and your coworkers when the topic of how important this moment is for our country, because it's an inflection point. We've said many elections are tipping point elections. This is
the 400th time you guys have told us this. Every time something's about to happen, you try to scare us into voting for somebody just to keep the country. Oh my God, the financial economic crisis in 2007 and 8, when that first cracked off real hard. Oh my God, they got so scared they voted in a black president. They didn't know what was going to happen to the country, and black people all got scared and bullied into voting in one direction, which we probably would have voted for Obama because we never had that opportunity. But since we have, Kamala isn't going to get that easy pass, unfortunately. She's not going to get that easy ride. She's going to have to earn a whole lot of votes before she gets them. And I think most of us are getting it. We argue amongst ourselves. It even seems foolish sometimes. But I think when it really comes down to it, I think we know what's going on. And if we don't, for those of you who are sitting there disagreeing with me right now, do some research. Comment on my page. Tell me what you would like me to make a video about. And share this video, like it, and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate you watching.